All right, if you couldn't tell by the thumbnail, we're here to talk about Lisa Kleypas books today, especially her historical romances. So let's get into it. So hi, I'm Christy. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're here to talk about Lisa Kleypas historical romances. Lisa Kleypas is one of my all-time favorite historical romance queens. I love her historicals so much. I have read pretty much all of them. I think I only have one of her duologies. So 2 books, as well as I guess her original 4 as well, which I will talk about. I don't know if I plan to ever read those, we'll see, but so 6 books, I guess. So most of her historicals I've read. I love her books so much. So I've done author guides on my channel in the past where I go through a historical romance author's backlist, tell you about all of their books, do mini reviews. I've read all of the books from the ones I've done in the past. So like Beverly Jenkins, Joanna Shoup, I have Elizabeth Hoyt. Who else have I done? Oh, Lorraine Heath. Love her so much. She's my OG historical romance queen. And so yeah, I've done those authors in the past and I will show you like all of their covers, their step backs, all of those things. Because on top of being a historical romance book reader, I'm a book collector. I love collecting first editions, the editions with the step backs. I have hundreds of historical romances. Collecting them is one of my favorite things. I love and cherish them so much. I do read a ton of historical romances as well, but like collecting them is something I love to do as well. I love to find like first editions, the original covers, the ones with the step backs, like all of those things. And so I'm very particular about the ones that I collect. But anyways, so Lisa Kleypas, I do have her entire collection. So I thought this would be just like a fun, informal way to do a author guide where I show you all the books, show you all the covers, the cover list, the step backs, all the moments, and then I'll like tell you briefly about the books as I am actually reorganizing my bookshelves. So it's gonna be more informal compared to the author guides I've done in the past, because this one I'm just literally moving them from one bookshelf that you can't see over here. I have like historical romances over there and I'm moving them back to where they used to be, which is a shelf off camera over here that again, you can't see, but they're going from here to here. And I decided this would be the perfect time since I have them all out all together to just kind of like informally show you them and talk about them and just kind of have like a Lisa Kleypas chat, so to speak, because I love to just talk about historical romances. Lisa Kleypas is one that always gets brought up, I feel like, in historical romance chats. So I thought this would be fun to do and hopefully enjoy because people are always like, I want to see more of your historical romances. So this is like an informal way to do that. So let's go. All right, so first up, a little bit about her books. So I think she has 30-ish, 35, 40 historical romances. She also has 2 different contemporary romance series as well. I do have those books around here somewhere. I might pull them out at the end. I might not because I don't even know where they are, but she has 2 contemporary romance series as well that I think were written in the early 2000s. Could be wrong on that, but I know they're kind of that vibe. All right, so one place I always recommend people starting with Lisa Kleypas is honestly her Wallflower series. It's iconic, it's popular for a reason, it's so good. I've actually reread the series multiple times. I'm currently in the middle of co-hosting a read-along for the series as well. So we just read the first 3 books in the series and we have the last 3 for the last half of 2024. So if you're watching this video in that time frame, you can definitely join us or rewatch all of the live shows where we talked about all these books because I just love them so much and highly recommend for people who are looking to start her books. And there are particular books from her that I definitely recommend reading in order, starting with the Wallflowers series. The Wallflowers series, there is a prequel and there is a Christmas novella, but basically it's 4 books following 4 main wallflowers where they are a group of friends and girlfriends, wallflowers, who are kind of on the shelf and they decide, you know what, like now is our chance and our time. We need to like find husbands. And so they decide to help one another find husbands and we follow their journeys. And each wallflower gets her book and it's so good and they kind of interconnect a little bit as well, and they do go in order of like time frame at least, so that's why I recommend reading them in order. So I recommend starting with the Wallflower series, then jumping to the Hathaway series, and then at the end jumping to the Ravenels series. Especially once you get reading all of these books, it will make more sense, especially the Ravenel series. I know this is her newer published stuff, so like the last book in the series was published I think in the summer of 2021, I want to say. That sounds about right. So yeah, I mean, you can read these books on their own. Obviously you're gonna love them. Her books hit so well, but you're gonna love them even more and have a better appreciation for them if you start with Wallflowers, because a lot of these characters are children of the couples of the Wallflower series. So you see their parents / the Wallflower couples throughout this series, as well as their kind of like families interactions as well. So I highly recommend just for that, but that's just me. So let's get back to showing the Wallflower series. All right, so like I said, there are technically 6 books part of the Wallflower series, and we have a prequel, the 4 main books, and then a Christmas novella, where the prequel has its own romance and the Christmas novella is seeing all of the Wallflowers couples again, as well as it has a new romance in here as well. So yeah, let's get into them and show how pretty they are. First up is Again the Magic, and this one is a stunner. This is Lady Elaine and McKenna's romance. This one is a second chance romance perfection. I love this book so, so much. It is basically like Persuasion by Jane Austen, if you're familiar with that kind of like second chance romance setup where they had this like epic love when they were young and then they went their separate ways, and the hero kind of came from nothing and over time he became more successful and now he's back in her life. In this case, he's back in her life to get revenge on her and her father for sending him away from her back when they were young. It's so angsty and so good. I love it so, so much. We also get a secondary romance in here as well with the heroine's sister, and she has her own man on the side as well. And so yeah, we follow both romances. So good, so angsty, class difference romance where basically he came from nothing and then went off, became successful, and now he is uber wealthy and back in her life, and there's still feelings there, they have secrets, and it kind of goes from there. So, so good. Second chance perfection. All right, so the second book is Secrets of a Summer Night. Here is the step back for this one. This one always gets talked about a lot because the heroine in this book is described as being blonde, but or strawberry blonde, I guess you could say. But as you can see on the step back, she is a brunette. So super interesting. These are the two different published versions of the book. This is the original with step back, and this is the newer one without a step back. Also a thing to note about Lisa Kleypas, which always gets talked about when she's brought up as well, is she decided, for whatever reason, her publisher, her editor, they decided to do rewrites, re-edits of a lot of her books, starting with the Wallflower series. And so I want to say 2021, 2022 is when these changes came into effect. So now the ebooks, the audiobooks, and the newer paperback versions of these books, if you buy them, are going to be the edited version without telling you they're the edited version. So just know that. They took out a lot of things from books. This book in particular, they took out the entire prologue, which I feel like adds an element to the character stories, and you understand why the heroine dislikes the hero so much from the start, or kind of has feelings towards him. And so I don't know, some of the choices I get that they took out, or edited, I should say, and some of them, it really makes no sense to me. So I have a lot of thoughts and feelings about the edited versions, but yeah, just know that this whole series and a lot of her books that we'll talk about coming up have been edited. So that's a thing that's happening, and I kind of wish it wasn't, but here we are. So yeah, Secrets of a Summer Night. So this one is Annabelle and Simon Hunt's romance, and so like I said in here, this is kind of the start of the Wallflower series, at least the core for friends who the series follows. So Annabelle is the first one up to get her romance. The friends, they all decided like, oh, we should go in order of who's been out the longest in society, who's the oldest. You should get a husband first and we'll work down the line. So they start with her. So yeah, Annabelle in here needs to save her family. They're kind of on the edge of destitution and needing to save her family from a disaster. And so she ends up getting to know, meeting Simon Hunt, and he is a self-made man, which Lisa Kleypas does self-made men heroes so, so well. She's like top tier for that. That is like her gift to society, to us as romance readers, is being just writing these self-made men heroes. Like so, so good. Nobody hits it out of the park like she does for that. But yeah, so she meets Simon, and I want to say he's the son of the butcher, and now he is uber successful and wealthy and does a lot of businessy things. And so he wants her and is willing to wait to get her because he knows he's perfect for her, and it's their romance, and she fights it, and it's so good. All right, next up is It Happened One Autumn, which is perfect for right now because like I said, I'm filming this in September and it is autumn. So here is this one and the gorgeous step back for Marcus and Lillian. So Marcus is the brother of the sisters that were featured in Again the Magic. So we've already seen him. If you've read the series in order, you'll already know Marcus, and you would have seen him in the previous book as well. So Marcus is an earl, and he gets paired up with Lillian, who is an American heiress in London with her father, who is like a businessman doing business deals with Marcus, as well as with her sister Daisy, who gets a book in the series as well, and their mother. So they're in London for like a month, and they're staying at his family's home, which is Stony Cross Park, which gets featured throughout tons of Lisa Kleypas series. And so he can't stand her just because she's so like brash and so American and just so willing to go toe to toe with him. And like, she just doesn't fit in with society. And so she just rubs him the wrong way. He even refers to her as like a shrew at one time because he's like, oh my God, she's so annoying. And I always want to like argue and banter with her, but like also I can't stop thinking about her. So like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with her? And so their romance is very much like that hate to love kind of vibe. So, so good. Really, really love this one. And also here's the other version of as well, which I love. They kind of pair really perfectly together. Next up is my precious, precious babies, Sebastian and Evie. I am obsessed with Sebastian St. Vincent. He is featured throughout multiple books later on in the series, and as well as later books in Lisa Kleypas's backlist. So yeah, if you haven't heard of Sebastian St. Vincent and you're a historical romance reader, I don't know which books you've been reading, because Sebastian St. Vincent is everything and more. I love him so much, so I'm a little bit biased. But anyways, here's Devil in Winter. So here is Devil in Winter, and we have this gorgeous, snowy step back with Evie and Sebastian St. Vincent there. He is the ultimate bad boy and definitely gets himself into some trouble, into some things which you have seen if you've read the series in order, which you should be, just saying. And so she is a wallflower. She has a stutter and she's very shy and her family is treating her horribly. She's left with relatives who lock her up, don't let her out. All of these things are trying to force her to marry somebody else within the family, which is gross. But yeah, things happen and Evie decides to take things into her own hands, and she comes to Sebastian when he's already very broken and desperate, and she offers him up a bargain, and it goes from there. Highly recommend reading this book. It's so good. Just like epitome historical romance. I love their book so, so much. Here is the other version as well with Evie and her red hair. So yeah, that is A Devil in Winter. Highly recommend reading this one. Next up is Scandal in Spring, and this is Daisy and Matthew Swift's story. So here's their step back. So Daisy is one of the Wallflowers as well. She's the last one in the Wallflowers series to get her book and to get married. And so she is the younger sister of the American heiress Lillian, who was in It Happened One Autumn. So this is Daisy's book, and it is Scandal in Spring. This one, I'm pretty sure Daisy's father and other people in her life are like, you should marry this guy. He'd be perfect for you, for the situation. And she kind of wants to do her own thing, find her own love. And so she kind of pushes against it and then realizes, wait, this guy actually might be perfect for me, but I don't want to admit that to everybody. And so it kind of goes from there. Like I said, she's an American heiress. I want to say he's like a businessman. Could be totally wrong. This one I feel like I always forget the most about. So I'm very excited to reread it pretty soon coming up. So yeah, this is Daisy and Matthew Swift's. And here is the other version as well. So yeah, Scandal in Spring. All right, and then like I said, we have a novella, a Christmas novella. I love novellas. I love Christmas holiday reads. So this is a Wallflower Christmas. This one has a step back as well. So in this one, we follow Rafe Bowman, who is actually the brother of Daisy and Lillian, the American heiresses, which I was talking about in the other books in the series. So he comes over to London to visit his sisters. And so we get all the Wallflower group in here with their marriage and couples and all of that. We get little glimpses of all the couples, which I love. And then as well as we get Rafe Bowman's romance. And so he ends up finding his heroine in this one, which I think he's supposed to meet somebody else, and like she's working as, I want to say like the lady's maid or something. Is that right or is that wrong? I don't know. And so yeah, Rafe is in London to visit his sisters for the holiday season. So we get a lot of cute like holiday Christmas cheer as well of them getting a Christmas tree, which I think is like one of the first times, because they're in like Victorian era, and I think that's when Christmas trees are becoming a thing. And so they're doing that and kind of decking the halls and all of that. There's like some fun like snow carriage rides, I want to say. And then like I said, we're getting Rafe's story, and he's there to meet somebody else, but then he ends up meeting, I think, like her lady's maid or cousin or something like that, and it ends up becoming their romance, and it goes from there. It's so good. It's so short, but just like such a perfect wintry read. All right, so after the Wallflowers, like I said, I recommend going to the Hathaway series, which you get to see the hero of the first book in the Hathaway series in the last book in the Wallflower series, or the like actual last book, so like Scandal in Spring. You see the hero make an appearance in that book. So if you like him in that book, definitely go over to the Hathaway series. It's so good. I love this family so much. One of my favorite historical romance families. They are perfection. They're very like quirky, and they read, and they're into art, and they just like to sit around and talk about like worldly things, and they're very like unlike the rest of society, and I just adore their family so, so much. And so it follows these siblings who are all together, and their parents have passed, and it's just them, and it's just so, so good. Like I love them so much. And they're actually neighbors to Marcus and Stony Cross Park, so they're kind of featured a little bit because like I said, they're neighboring, their houses, estates neighbor them, so that's how they know each other. So first up is Mine Till Midnight, with the gorgeous step back here of Amelia and Cam, which in this book, it has been edited as well, but the reasons it was edited for this one was to take out a slur, which I am totally down for them taking that out and making those edits because definitely needed. So yeah, this is Mine Till Midnight. And Amelia is like the head of the family. She's the oldest sibling, I think. Yeah, she's older than her brother. Her brother is supposed to be like the head of the family, but he's a hot mess, who he gets his character redeemed over the series, but he's a hot mess. And so Amelia is left to take care of her siblings, take care of the family. She's like the matriarch. And this is her romance with Cam. Next up is Seduce Me at Sunrise, one of my favorite Lisa Kleypas books. I love this one so much. If you love angsty, pining, mutual pining, this book is it and more. So in this one we follow Kev and Win, or Winifred. She is the sister of Amelia. And in here, Kev, I think he was actually raised as helping out like within their family house. I want to say, I believe, yes. And so he's always felt like he's not good enough for her, and she's always been into him. She was also sick a lot in her life, and so we see kind of her struggles with her health situations, and they both want each other so badly. The mutual pining is there. The tension, so good. Chef's kiss. Angsty because neither of them wants to give in. So good. I love it so much. Definitely read this one. All right, and then we have Tempt Me at Twilight, which is book 3. This is actually my least favorite in the Hathaway series. Here is the step back. This is Poppy Hathaway's and then Harry Rutledge's story. So Harry is like very rich, wealthy. I think he's like a hotelier, I want to say. He owns a hotel. And Poppy is the unconventional one of the family. And she's just very quirky, and she ends up at the hotel for reasons, and it's their romance. I don't love Harry personally, so this one was just okay for me. It's like my least favorite, probably one of my least favorite Lisa Kleypas books, honestly. So not it for me, but I know a lot of people love this one. And like I said, the series is so strong, so there is that. Next is Married by Morning. Here is the step back on this one. This one is so good. So this is Leo Hathaway's romance with Catherine, and she's actually was the governess for his 2 younger sisters. And so she's been around in their lives, and she has glasses. And like I said, Leo was like the troublemaker of the family, kind of a hot mess for the first few books, but his character gets a redemption, which I love to see. And so this is his romance with her. So a lot of forced proximity. It's so good. I love this one. I'm pretty sure in here there's a part where he has to basically like marry and produce an heir to save their family estate or something like that. And so it kind of goes from there. Catherine as well has a lot of secrets from her past and with her background. And so it kind of goes from there with them figuring out things about each other. Love it so much. Ugh, and then another one, so swoony. This is the last in the Hathaway series. So this is Love in the Afternoon. I love this book again, one of my favorites. So this book is Beatrix Hathaway, and then is Captain Christopher is the hero in here. So basically in here, Beatrix has been writing to Christopher for years. He went away to war, and she was writing to him on behalf of her friend. Her friend was supposed to be possibly seeing him before he went away to war, and was supposed to like be his pen pal or whatever, but really easily on was like, yeah, I'm not interested in writing him. Could you keep writing to him for me? And so Beatrix is just like so adorable and precious, and I love her. She has like so many like little animal critter friends, and she has been writing to him for years, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't know it's her. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that he doesn't know he's writing to her this whole time, and then he comes back from war, and he's a totally changed person because of things he saw, things he went through, and he's kind of broken and broody and kind of cold and just different than he was before going in. And so it is their story and romance from there. It is so swoony and so good. I honestly want to continue on after reading the Wallflower series and continue on to the Hathaways, continue on to the Ravenels. I just want to keep the Lisa Kleypas reread train going. I love the Hathaways so much. All right, so if you're following my recommendation and you've read the Wallflowers and you've read the Hathaways, then next I would say to read the Ravenels series. The Ravenels is the name of the family that we follow in this series. We also get like some of their friends and just kind of like other people around their circle in their lives. And so not every book is one of the Ravenels siblings getting a book, but like they're in their lives, if that makes sense. First up is Cold Hearted Rake, and here is the gorgeous step back. I love the double page step backs for these ones, are kind of like the overspill of the dress. So in here we follow Devin Ravenel, and we have Kathleen as the heroine. This book gets a lot of hate, and honestly, I kind of like it. Like, I think I gave this one 4 stars. I think it's a really good setup for the series, and we kind of get the situationship that's going on with the Ravenels, with the characters. We meet a lot of the characters. In this one, I believe the heroine is a widow, and I believe the hero in here, he inherits like a family estate. Earldom? Is it an earl? I don't know. Am I making things up? Possibly. Oh yeah, he does inherit an earldom. And so he gets this like huge debt as well that he inherits with that, and kind of these troublesome cousins of his. And so it kind of goes from there of him trying to make sense of things. She as well, like I said, she's a widow in here. I really like this one. So yeah, let me know if you like this one too. Next up, a super popular Lisa Kleypas book is Marion Winterbourne. So here is this of Helen, and this gorgeous step back moment as well. So this is Reese Winterbourne's story with Helen. And like I said, she is, I want to say, the cousin of the hero of the previous book, I believe. She's shy, she's aristocratic, and she is a lady. And Reese is not. He was born kind of like I said, Lisa Kleypas, her self-made men heroes. So Reese Winterbourne is one of those heroes as well. There's like, I know an iconic moment here with like his peppermint candies, I want to say. This is Reese, right? With his peppermint candies. Somebody in the series has peppermints and they love them and they eat them a lot. So yeah, this is like the perfect case of he is a man about town and he knows what he wants, and it's her, and she is very like shy and sheltered, and it goes from there. I really love this one, as does most people who read this book. So yeah, you are in good company if you read this book because so many people love it. Next is A Devil in Spring, one of my favorites in the series. So stinking pretty. So this is Lady Pandora Ravenel's book with Gabriel, Lord St. Vincent, which if St. Vincent sounds familiar, there's a reason why. And like I said, read the Wallflower series first and you're going to see some of their children in the future. So yeah, Pandora, unlike the rest of society, she hasn't been interested in being a debutante. She doesn't want to find a husband. She just wants to work on her new board game that she's trying to produce and make. And so she's a little bit quirky and different. And I just love their pairing because she wants nothing to do with him. And it's just so good. Like, I just love it, especially since it is Sebastian St. Vincent's son as well. So him and Evie make appearances in this book. I love their family so much. So yeah, definitely read this one if you haven't. Next is Hello Stranger. This is actually my least favorite in the Ravenels series, but in here I can appreciate it for what it is. So in here we're following the heroine, and she's actually the first female physician, I want to say, in England. And so that part was super interesting. I just wasn't really connected to the romance or to their story, but I liked her medical adventures, if that makes sense. So I know people love this one. It just wasn't it for me. So there you go. So next up is another one of my favorites, not only in the series, but one of my favorite Lisa Kleypas books. So we have Devil's Daughter, which if you can guess by the devil theme, this is going to be Sebastian St. Vincent, Devil in Winter from Wallflower series, one of his children again. So this is his daughter's book and it is so good. So she's a widow. She's a single mom to her young sons. And she had like a really lovely first marriage. It was like her first love and all of those things. But now she's a widow and her parents and her family are trying to get her back out there and she really doesn't want to find somebody else again. And so West Ravenel ends up coming around and he has to help her with it because I think she's stuck with like a farm situation or like tenants and land and especially farming, and he has been doing that. And so he comes to help and he is just everything with her. He's so obsessed with her, but he's also equally as obsessed with her children and with her young boys. Ugh, it's so swoony and so good. I love this one so much. I've actually reread this one multiple times because it's one of my favorites and I just love it so much. Next is Chasing Cassandra, and this one is gorgeous. It very much gives like Cinderella vibes with that dress. So in here we're following obviously Cassandra, she's a Ravenel, and then we follow Tom, who is another self-made man. He's a railway magnate. So he has tons of money. He's like billionaire status, and it is their romance and it's so good. And a lot of people love this one. It's like, I think this and Marion Winterbourne are like two people's favorites in this series. So in this one, the hero sees her and he wants her immediately, and she is very like pulled to him, but also he's very cold. He's a very cold, stoic hero, and so she has to like break through his ice. So good. All right, and then the last book in the Ravenel series, at least for now or for forever, who knows, this is Devil in Disguise. And so this one, sadly, no step back, because this was the end of step backs, which was so sad. This one I want to say came out in the summer of 2021, and it's so sad because it has no step back. So sad, but I do love this one. I know a lot of people have some mixed feelings about this one. I personally love it, so it worked for me. I don't know. But yeah, that's the Ravenel series. So after that, you can read whatever you want from her backlist, from her books. I mean, honestly, obviously, you can read whatever you want whenever you want, but I personally think reading them in order, in that specific order, like Wallflowers, then Hathaways, then Ravenels, is the best way to experience that overarching 3 series, but that's just me, so I don't know. Do what you want. Next up is we'll do her 4 original books next. So these are the ones that I am not sure if I'll ever read. These ones are actually out of print. Lisa Kleypas herself was like, I don't like my work in those. I don't want them to be available in ebook. I don't want them available in print. Like, we're not running those again. So you can only get them if you find the old original paperbacks, which of course I have. So yeah, let's get into these. All right, so this one is Give Me Tonight. I think, is this the time travel one? I honestly have no idea. I know one of these has time travel. So here is this. I really do love the green though on here. So this one, what does it say? Oh, this takes place in Texas? Interesting. Maybe this isn't the time travel one. The blinding passion that flamed between them lit a dazzling world of love. So let's see. So he is a ranch hand on her father's vast Texas spread. Both of them had a secret, and it goes from there. So very interesting. Next up is Where Passion Leads. This one is just so beautiful. I love the pink. This one in here is problematic, and I don't know if I'll ever read this one, honestly, but in here, the hero actually SAs the heroine, and so then he is redeemed in the book, supposedly. So I don't know how he's going to come back from that. I don't know if I want to read it to see. So here is this one, but it's gorgeous and it's pink, and here it is. All right, so next up is Love Come to Me, another really pretty one with the pink dress. Look at this moment on the back as well with the two, especially this one up here. Very interesting. So this one says, she learned the power of passion in love's embrace. Oh, is this one also in America? Yeah, New England Beauty. It is in Massachusetts. Interesting. So that's that. All right, and then the last one, this one is absolutely stunning. So this is Forever My Love. I love the blue on here, just so pretty. The back as well, like, ugh, these moments. I love historical romances with details like that. So this one says, their fiery embrace sparked love's eternal flame. Exquisitely beautiful Mira was only 18 when she made her bargain with a wealthy, powerful, elderly Lord Sackville. He would keep and protect her, and she would let him flaunt her as mistress to hide his shameful personal secret. Mira tried to keep her word even when she met the handsome Alec Faulkner, the Duke of Hamilton, as experienced in passion as Mira was innocent. But in his arms, desire was more powerful than any promise or pledge, as she learned to be a woman who would dare everything for her love. Ooh. That's very interesting. So she's pretending to be somebody's mistress, but now she's falling for somebody else. So I don't know. That one sounds actually kind of good. If any, maybe this one I would pick up. Let me know if you've read any of these original 4. I'm very curious. All right, so let's do some more of her standalones. So these 3 are standalones as well. So let's get into them. First up is Suddenly You. This one is so stinking pretty. I love a good garden scene, and especially a double page step back. So in here, the heroine, I know I think it's her 30th birthday when the story starts, and she is a writer, and she decides, you know what, I don't want to be a virgin anymore, let's get rid of that. And so she wants to kind of treat herself or experience that as a part of her life before. Like, she doesn't want to get married or anything. She just wants to experience that because why the heck not? So she ends up trying to hire somebody to help her out with that. And then the hero ends up showing up at her house one night. She assumes he's there as her gift to herself, and they have a very passionate night. And then I want to say later on, they realize he's her new boss. And so that's not what he was there for. And it kind of goes from there. And this one's really, really good. I highly recommend it. I know a lot of people love this one as well. All right, next is one of my favorites. So this is Where Dreams Begin. I've reread this one a few times, and it's just such a pretty step back. So in here, the hero, another self-made man moment. So the hero is a self-made man. He's rich, he's powerful, he's like a billionaire, and the heroine is a widowed single mom. And so she wants to save money for her and her daughter and kind of set them up successfully financially, even though she's living with her late husband's family, so her in-laws. She doesn't want to be like a burden on them, and she wants to be able to do her own thing. And so she ends up meeting the hero, and he offers her a job where she can come and live with him and teach him and especially his sister and mom about society, how to be a lady, because she's a very proper lady, and he will pay her. And so she's like, you know what, I do want my independence. I want to have money for my daughter as well in the future. So yeah, maybe I'll do that. So she decides to take the job. She negotiates for like a higher price, and then he's like, oh, part of the deal is you have to come live with me for a year. And so he moves her and her daughter into his house. And also at the beginning, like, him and her had a moment where he mistook her for somebody else, getting into a carriage with him, and they had like a little moment. And so there's always this like sizzling tension between them while they're living in his house together. It is so, so good. The way he's one of my favorite heroes, the way that he cares for the heroine and her daughter. Ugh, it's just so, so good. The way he gives her daughter buttons, because she collects little cute buttons. Precious. Like, I love this book so much. All right, and then next is A Stranger in My Arms. So we have this very, very shiny gold moment and this beautiful step back as well. So this one, I barely remember it. I think I didn't love this one. I think I gave it 3 stars. And this one I think was a really wild time. Like, I'm pretty sure the heroine in here finds out that her husband, who everybody assumed was lost at sea and dead, he ends up showing back up in town, and they're like, oh, he's actually alive. And when he comes back, he's like totally different than what she remembers. And I believe that's the story for this one. I want to say, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, but she's also very pulled to this new version of her husband. And so it kind of goes from there. Complicated, interesting. Like I said, I didn't love it. So anyways, I love though the gold on here. So shiny. So there's that one. All right. And then next up we have the Gamblers of Craven's series, which these 2 books are both, I feel like, iconic and so, so good. Let's get into these ones. So first up is actually Then Came You, which here is the stunning original cover. Obsessed. Let's see if it will focus. There we go. So stinking pretty. This one is gorgeous. So in this one, the heroine is Lily Lawless, and she is trying to help out her sister to get out of this marriage. And so it kind of goes from there. There are some things that are revealed throughout the story that I don't want to like say or give away, but this one is really, really good. I feel like it's definitely overshadowed by Dreaming of You, the next book in the series, but this one is so good. And the heroine in here, Lily, she is friends with Derek Craven, the hero of the next book. So you can kind of get the connections through that. You could also read them on their own as well. Just so, so good. Really enjoyed this one, and it's so stinking beautiful as well. Which, is it just me, or is this heroine on here giving like Elizabeth Taylor vibes? That's what I get from that. Stunning. Either way, so pretty. And then the next one is Dreaming of You, which mine has this giant black check mark on it from whenever I got it used, so I haven't even tried to take that off yet. It is what it is. But anyways, here is this gorgeous step back. So this book, of course, is the beloved Derek Craven. Like I said, again, Lisa Kleypas in Self-Made Men. She is totally that emoji of like two people, you know, the holding hands situation. Her, Lisa Kleypas, Self-Made Men. Like, she has it figured out. So good. Derek Craven, I feel like, is one of those characters that is iconic on his own, especially in the historical romance world. And if you haven't read this book, I highly recommend you do. It definitely holds up to the test of times, I feel like. It was written, I think, published, I want to say in 1994, and it is just so good. I love this one so much. I feel like Derek Craven is iconic on his own, but the heroine in here, Sarah, she is equally as strong, and just Sarah compliments Derek. They just go so well together. There's a specific scene in here with her eyeglasses. Ugh, if you know, you know. If you've read this one, then you know. It's so good. Derek Craven is one of those who he was literally, I think he was literally born in like a gutter or a sewer pipe, something like that. Like, awful childhood. He's built himself up. He owns this like London's exclusive gambling house, and Sarah ends up kind of falling into his arms, into his club, and it kind of goes from there. She's very much like prim and proper vibes. I mean, she's not shy. She definitely doesn't give off shy vibes, but she gives off like prim and proper vibes, so to speak. So yeah, it kind of goes from there. It is their romance relationship. He is a man obsessed with her, and it's so good. I love them so much. So yeah, definitely read, honestly, both of these. So good. Then Came You, Dreaming of You. Read them in any order. Love them so much. Next up, we have the Bow Street Runner series. So this series is actually interesting to talk about right now because the first book in the series, Someone to Watch Over Me, Lisa Kleypas actually recently rewrote the entire story, not just like a re-edit. She rewrote the entire book. There's like a whole letter she put up, which I will maybe share here if I remember to do that. But basically, it's where she said that she was going to re-edit it, but then when she was looking through it, she decided she wanted to rewrite the entire story because if people pick up her newer books and then they pick up this one, they're going to realize it's totally like a different tonal change, whatever, like writer's vibe. And she doesn't want people to read this one and judge her basically for how she wrote this book back then compared to like her newer stuff now. I don't know. It was a choice. I don't like it or agree with it because especially rewriting a book, but leaving the same title as part of a series is just super strange to me. Like, maybe do that to write a new book. I don't know, just saying, but that happened. So there's a new version of this book out there now. And I'm pretty sure it has the same, I think it was like having the same ISBN for the ebook or something like that. So when people were purchasing it, it was already saying it was on their Kindle. I don't know. It was a whole thing. I don't even know. I doubt I'll read the new version, but I do love this version of this series. So let's get into it. All right. So this is Someone to Watch Over Me. Absolutely stunning. I love the big flower and then that reveal moment. Pretty sure this one, is this the amnesia one? Pretty sure it is. Yes. So like I said, this series is following the Bow Street Runner and basically like the cops of the time. And the heroine in here, she ends up being rescued. The hero finds her, like she's washed up ashore, I want to say. Yeah, she's washed up ashore, her memory's gone, and he tells her that, oh, you're actually like one of London's most scandalous ladies of the night, and it kind of goes from there. But anyways, this is this version of the book. Next is Lady Sophia's Lover. So here is the gorgeous purple and blue, and then the step back moment as well. In here, the hero is kind of like stoic and cold, I want to say. I read this one years ago. I'm pretty sure that's what the case is, and he works for the Bow Street Runners, and the heroine is trying to, I think she's trying to seduce him, I want to say. Yes, I believe for reasons, and I think that's kind of revealed within the story. This series I've read quite a few years ago, but I'm pretty sure that was the case with this one, which then leads into the last book in the series. So those two are going to be like, you're going to have the plot spoiled if you read those kind of out of order, because you learn about what's going on in this book with one of the characters because of the heroine of the previous book. So this is Worth Any Price. And here is the step back moment. And so I'm pretty sure in this one, yes, I think this is the one where they actually go to Stony Cross Park, which, like I said, is a house featured throughout many of her series and books. And so in here, the hero is hired from Bow Street to go find the heroine for reasons. And when he finds her, she's like working at this house, I want to say, as like a lady's maid or something like that. And I think it goes from there. So yeah, that's the Bow Street series. All right, next up is the Capitol Theater Duet, which I feel like is very underrated. I loved both of these books in this series and highly recommend, if you haven't picked them up, that you definitely do so. So first up is Somewhere I'll Find You. Love this edition with this step back as well. So this whole series takes place, as you can guess, at a theater company. Okay, oh yes, I'm remembering this premise as I'm looking at this one. Okay, so this premise is coming back to me. So in this one was a super interesting setup. So basically in here, the heroine is a super famous actress and she's super successful, and the hero comes back into her life and he is actually her husband, because as children, these two were married to one another by their fathers, like in a business slash gambling, maybe it was gambling deal. They decided to join their families together, and I think they like got their children married by proxy, or I want to say like when they're like 7 or 9 or something like that. So the children never like spent time together, but like on paper they're married. So the children didn't find out. I want to say like the hero found out when he was maybe like 9 or 12, and I think the heroine found out around the same time or later when they were teenagers, and they kind of just been living their own lives. And now he is back to claim slash find his wife for reasons, and it goes from there. So very interesting setup for this one. I really enjoyed it. So then the next one is Because You're Mine, and this one has a really pretty little step back cutout moment. So pretty. Which the hero in this one is the owner of the Capitol Theater. So you meet him in the previous book in the series because he's like a business partner with the heroine of that book. And so he owns the theater, and he's like in his 30s, I want to say, and he's kind of like stoic and just keeps to himself. But I think like a lot of people want him. And the heroine is young. I think she's only like 18, and her family or whoever is going to marry off to this like really gross guy, an older gross guy. And so she decides to take things into her own hands, and she's like, to force their hand into me not marrying him, that I'm going to go get seduced or fall into bed with somebody and ruin my reputation, because that's the only way I'm gonna get out of this. But I think the hero, maybe he's not cold, but I want to say he's like, no, I guess he is cold and guarded, but he's also known as like a really great lover, a good lay. And so she decides, you know, it's gonna be easy to ask him to bed me like he does it with everybody. And so when she gets there, he's like, no. And so it kind of goes from there with her trying to will her way into his life. And so she ends up getting a job there, and she's just constantly trying to get to him. And so I just loved the tension between them, and their romance is actually really good as well. These two I'd say maybe read if you want more of like a older historical romance vibe, not like super old school, but like these aren't gonna read like modern day ones. So just know that going in. I love them. So those are those two. All right, next up is the Stokehurst series duology, whatever you want to call it. So first up is Midnight Angel. I will say this duet I don't like. In fact, the second book in it, I think I gave like 2 stars. I really don't recommend anybody reading it, but you know, do what you want. So here is Midnight Angel, and then we have this. The step back is beautiful though. Okay, this one I don't think was as bad. I'm looking at my review of it because I read it years ago, so I was trying to remember what it was about. So in here, the hero is widowed and he needs help taking care of his, I think, 12, 13-year-old daughter. She's about to be like a teenager, and I think he has a hook for his arm as well. And so I think the heroine ends up coming into their life for reasons. There's also like a whole Russian St. Petersburg kind of like lost Anastasia situation happening. There's a lot of weird things happening in the story, not gonna lie. I think the first half of the story I liked, and the second half dragged for me and kind of got weird. So I don't know, there's that one. And then speaking of weird, Prince of Dreams, very, very weird. Like I said, I don't recommend it. So here is the step back, which is very pretty. This one's very strange. Like I said, in the first book, the hero had that teenage daughter, or about to be like preteen teenage daughter. And so in here, it's years later and it is now her book. And this book is strange. Like, it involves time travel. It involves reincarnation. It's very weird. And I don't know, you can go read my Goodreads review, which is going to be linked in the description of the video to get to all my Goodreads reviews for all of these books. But yeah, it's weird. So I don't know, just know that going in. I didn't like it. All right, and then lastly is the duet that I said I haven't read yet. So these are the only 2 I haven't read besides her first 4 original. So these ones I might get to someday soon at some point. I also like just having her book, like a series somewhere on my backlist of hers, so I know I'm not like officially complete, because I love her book so much and we don't know if we're gonna get a new historical from her, so that's a whole thing. But anyways, I probably will read these eventually because I do want to have her backlist done. So this is the Valorand series, Valorand. These are these 2 books. So first up is Only in Your Arms, which is very pretty. So it has this beautiful metallic shine and that little, you'd think it's a step back, but it's not. But this book was actually reworked and republished as a new title. So this is When Strangers Marry. And then we have a step back on this version. So, I mean, for quite some time, we were talking about Lisa Kleypas edits with her newer stuff, but for quite some time, she's been reworking, republishing, retitling her books. So I don't know, is it her? Is it her editor? Is it her publisher? No one will ever know, but it's an interesting choice. And then the second book of the series, Only with Your Love, which is beautiful as well. I love this like cutout moment we get right here. So pretty with like just a hint of the kind of metallic pink on there. So pretty. I don't even know what these are about, honestly. Oh, they take place in New Orleans. Very interesting. So maybe I'll get to these eventually. Let me know if you've read them, or I should say one of the new versions of the book slash then this one. All right, so I think that is all of the Lisa Kleypas books that I have. Like I said, she has her 2 other contemporary romance series, which I'm not going to dig out, but it's the Travis series, which is like a Texas Western contemporary setting for contemporary at the time, which was like maybe the 2010s, earlier than that maybe. I really like that series, but I know some people think it's problematic and have some issues with it. It worked for me, but also her books work for me. And then the Friday Harbor series, which is a small town. I actually need to finish that series. I read the first novella. And it was okay. It was very like Hallmark kind of cutesy setup, contemporary setting. And I need to continue on because I didn't finish that series 1. So I have those over around here as well. But like I said, I just wanted to talk about her historical romances today. Let me know if you enjoyed this video of a more kind of informal showing you all the books, but also chatting about them a little bit. Let me know what you thought. If you like that, I can do more of those because like I said, I'm going to move all my historical romances over here so I can kind of go through other authors as well and talk about their books a little bit as I do it and show all the pretty step backs and covers and all the things. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed. And if you'd rather leave me an emoji in the comments instead today, maybe leave me, I'm looking at all the books piled here. Oh, leave me a horse since we have these horses on the back of Forever My Love. So leave me a horse emoji in the comments. If you haven't done so yet, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, and I'll see you in my next one.